I'm here in a parking lot in Vancouver, just on the corner of Dunsmuir and Cambie, and we're just north of the new site of the Vancouver Art Gallery. And I'm here with Jean Swanson, who is with the Carnegie Housing Project. Hi, Jean.
Hi.
So, Jean, not too long ago, what was on this site?
98 units of really nice modular housing with kitchens and bathrooms that people loved.
What does it make you feel when you see that it's a parking lot now?
I feel like tearing my hair out because we have about 3,000 people on the wait list for supportive housing in Vancouver. This was 98 units of supportive housing and it's gone. We could be losing 700 modular units, and we've only got about 583 that are projected to come in the next 5 years.
I've heard from BC Housing that the units that were here were disassembled and moved to outside Kamloops. What does that tell you about the need that's here in Vancouver?
It tells me that somebody isn't prioritizing the need in Vancouver. We got 3,000 people on the supportive housing wait list here. It looks to me like over the next 5 years, we're actually going to be losing supportive housing units because no one is prioritizing that in Vancouver.
What would you like to see be done to help this situation?
Number one, the city should find sites or extend leases of all the modular supportive housing in Vancouver. That's an absolute basic bottom line. And then number two, the province and the feds, because the feds haven't been funding much at all, they should fund a lot more supportive housing and housing that people on welfare, disability, and pension can afford, which is about $500 a month.
So, Jean, we're here on the corner of Powell and Jackson. Can you tell us about the building here?
This is another supportive housing building. I think it's got 39 units. People have all been told that they have to leave, I think, by this spring. It's going to be replaced with social housing, which is good, but only a portion of that social housing will be for low-income people. So what we need is not only to have that new social housing, but for this modular housing to be put on another site in Vancouver, so some of the 3,000 people on the supportive housing list can get into it.
How do we need to rethink temporary modular housing?
So I think the word temporary really screws up the way people think about it. The temporary part is the land. The buildings can last 30 or 40 years. And so all that needs to happen is that the buildings have to be moved. So we can't think of them as temporary. We have to try and get all the housing we can for low-income people, and I think we need to use this housing.
What makes modular housing so special?
So the good thing about the modular housing is it's nice. People love it. They think they've won the lottery when they get in it. It's way bigger than an SRO. It's got a private bathroom, which an SRO doesn't have. It's got kitchen stuff, a stove and a fridge. So it's way nicer than the SROs.
You've been an advocate for a very long time. How big was homelessness as an issue, like 3 decades ago, 4 decades ago?
I used to work at the Downtown East Side Residents Association in the 70s, and we worked for similar kind of things like higher welfare rates, cleaning up the SROs. You know what we didn't work for? Ending homelessness. Do you know why? Because there was hardly any.
How does it make you feel now that homelessness is one of the biggest issues out here?
Well, it's very frustrating because it would be so easy to end homelessness. All we need to do is get housing that low-income people can afford. And governments used to do that in the old days. They built lots of social housing that poor people could afford, and nowadays they're not doing it. The federal government especially is really bad nowadays, whereas in the old days they did build social housing.
With the Carnegie Housing Project, you've looked at 3 different things to end homelessness. What would those things be?
So we've actually boiled it. We had 42 recommendations, but we boiled it down to stop the loss. So one way of stopping the loss is to find sites for the modular housing. Another way would be to get SRO vacancy control, which we got thanks to the government. We got that, the city and the province. The second thing is build affordable housing that low-income people can afford. Low-income people can't afford most social housing. And the third thing is treat people who are homeless humanely until we get that, which means we need more shelter space and tiny home villages.
Do you have hope that that can be achieved?
It could easily be achieved if there was a political will.